Hello students, uh, welcome to another lecture of biology, and today actually we had to discuss the chapter on natural resources, but because we need to revise the class 9 chapter diversity in living organisms as it would be coming in your test, so I thought of just taking a small lecture for your revision so that you don't face difficulty. Right, so today let's revise the chapter on of class 9th, diversity. Okay, so as you know, and I've given you in this format so that this might be in the way, form of notes for you, right? I've made a Word document, I have typed everything so that you can just keep it for your notes. You don't have the time to make notes. So, okay, so as we know, diversity in living organisms is a chapter which deals with different organisms and how they are classified based on various things, right? So, and I have just put in the main important things which you need to know. So, in the chapter, we came across the word taxonomy, which is a branch of science which deals with identification, nomenclature, and classification of organisms. Father of taxonomy was Carolus Linnaeus, sometimes Carl Linn. The word Carl Linn is also written same. He was the person who worked on it. He gave the binomial nomenclature as well, and he also gave the system in which organisms are classified. The taxonomical hierarchy, as I had already made you learn it last year, or if you were not there, I had given you a sentence: kings play cards on fat green stools. That kings play cards on fat green stools is a sentence which is easy to remember, and it helps you remember the taxonomical hierarchy. So kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus and species represents the taxonomical hierarchy, how organisms are put. Kingdom has various organisms which have many similarities and many differences. It comes down to species, a group of organisms which can freely interbreed and they have the maximum number of similarities. So this was taxonomical hierarchy. It was proposed by Carolus Linnaeus. You need to remember one thing: in plants, instead of phylum, the word division is used. Okay. Now, Carolus Linnaeus was the father of taxonomy, and he had also given the binomial nomenclature and had introduced it in his book called Systema Naturae, in which he said, well, when we give a scientific name to any organism, with it, it was easy to identify it in the whole world. The whole world knew it with the same name. So we have to take two names. First is the name of the genus, second is the name of species, and everybody agreed to it. But there were certain rules for it. First, the name of genus started with a capital letter and the name of species started with a small letter. If it was printed, it has to be in italics, and when it is handwritten, it has to be underlined separately. Okay. Now, many people had thought of classifying organisms like Aristotle, various other like Copeland, who gave the 4 kingdom classification, Ernest Haeckel, who gave the 3 kingdom classification, Robert Whittaker gave the 5 kingdom classification. Many people thought of classifying organisms like Aristotle. There was an artificial system in which main things like habitat or where they lived was taken as a basis of classification. Then there was a natural system in which certain natural habits of organisms were taken from as a basis of classification, but they were not very useful. The system of classification, which is called phylogenetic system, in which organisms are classified based on body design, hierarchy in developing, and relation of evolution. Evolutionary history देख के जो classify किया जाता है, that is phylogenetic system and most accepted. Okay. Charles Darwin was the first who described the idea of evolution in 1859 in his book Origin of Species. This sentence has been written in your NCERT, so I've taken it. But as we know, we have also studied about Lamarck and many others. Okay, but this is written in NCERT, so you need to know the name of this book also of Darwin and the year. Okay. Then we say there were five classification. Five kingdom is the most accepted one. Before that, the two kingdom classification given by Carolus Linnaeus only had Plantae and Animalia. Then there was Ernest Haeckel, who gave the three kingdom classification, in which Protista was included. Then there was four kingdom classification, which was given by Copeland, in which Monera was included. Lastly, Robert Whittaker proposed the five kingdom classification, in which fungi was taken as a separate kingdom, but all this is not in NCERT. So you need to know Robert Whittaker proposed the five kingdom classification as Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae and Animalia. Then Carl Woese introduced the six kingdom classification, in which Monera was divided or was classified as Archaebacteria and Eubacteria based on the differences of their cell walls. Archaebacteria are those bacteria which are found in extreme conditions, and Eubacteria under normal conditions, depending on the difference of their cell wall. Okay, so then we come to the five kingdom classification, in which first is Monera. Monera, they are unicellular prokaryotic organisms which do not have a well-defined nucleus. Only prokaryotic organisms are Monera, and they are unicellular. The cell wall may or may not be present, and the mode of nutrition is autotrophic. Some of them have autotrophic. There are certain bacteria which are heterotrophic. So they are prokaryotes. Okay. Yeah, I missed out the point 6. Please excuse me for that. Okay. Then the second kingdom is Protista, also unicellular, but they are eukaryotic. Except Monera, all the kingdoms are eukaryotic. Monera and Protista are unicellular. Fungi can be unicellular or multicellular. Plantae and Animalia are both multicellular. Okay, I had made a table for you last year, but because you need to remember it this way, it would be easier as a short revision. So Protista are unicellular eukaryotic organisms, and their body is covered by cilia, flagella, etc. for locomotion. The mode of nutrition is autotrophic or heterotrophic. Now, autotrophic is seen in Euglena, and heterotrophic in amoeba, paramecium, many of them. Okay? Then there is fungi. These are multicellular eukaryotic organisms with cell wall made up of chitin. They are always heterotrophic, but listen, one point. Fungi can also be unicellular. There are 4 forms of fungi. First is yeast, unicellular, mildews, unicellular, molds, multicellular, and mushroom, multicellular. Okay, so here we need to add the word they can also be unicellular. The fungi live with algae in the form of lichens as a symbiotic association. All these points I've taken as they have been mentioned in the NCERT. Then there is Plantae. They are multicellular, eukaryotic with a cell wall made up of cellulose, and the mode of nutrition is autotrophic. Animalia, the last kingdom, are multicellular eukaryotic organisms, but they do not have a cell wall and they are not able to perform photosynthesis. That means they are heterotrophic. Okay, then we had learned about the plant kingdom, and the kingdom Plantae was divided into two groups, mainly Cryptogamy and Phanerogamy. Okay, so Cryptogamy are those organisms which have hidden reproductive organs, and or we can say they do not bear seeds. Thallophyta, Bryophyta and Pteridophyta are cryptogams. Second group of organisms was phanerogams or seed-bearing plants. Seed-bearing plants were gymnosperms and angiosperms. So first, let us talk about Thallophyta. They have a thallus body organization which does not have a stem, leaf and root. They do not have a vascular system. Mostly aquatic hota hai. And we had also written algae, fungi and lichens in this because Eichler had given that classification, but in NCERT it is only algae. So I have taken up those points only. After Thallophyta, the second group in cryptogams are Bryophyta, which are commonly called as the amphibians of plant kingdom. Amphibians of plant kingdom, plant word I missed out, plant kingdom hona chahiye. This is a very important question from the point of view of NTSE, Bryophyta. The plant body is differentiated into root-like structures, but not true roots. Stem and leaf-like structures hote hain, but roots are not present, we can say. So they do not have a vascular system. Unke example, Mercantia and Funaria ricea is also given in NCERT. Please see the diagrams. The examples also can be asked. Please pay attention to this. Third group in Cryptogamy is Pteridophyta. They are commonly called as the first vascular land plants, or we can say vascular cryptogams. Pteridophyta ko bolte hain. The plant body is well differentiated into root, stem and leaves. Specialized tissue for conduction of water and food are developed, meaning they have a well-developed vascular system. The reproductive organs are inconspicuous, means are not visible or are hidden or are not very actively seen. Are inconspicuous, we can say hidden. इनके example है Marsilia and fern. The reproductive organs are conspicuous in Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta and can't develop seeds, so they are called cryptogamy, non-flowering plants. The plants with well-differentiated reproductive organs and that ultimately make seeds are called phanerogams, flowering plants. This group is now the flowering plants are further classified as phanerogams, further classified as gymnosperms and angiosperms. Basically, जो flowers अपन देखते हैं, all of them come in the angiosperm group. This is based on whether the seed is covered by a fruit or it is naked. So gymnosperms bear seeds which are naked, not with inside fruits, and angiosperms are fruit-bearing plants or the seeds are inside fruits. So both of them are phanerogams. Gymnosperms are commonly called naked seed-bearing plants. They are usually perennial, evergreen and woody. Examples, Pinus and Cycas. ये question NCERT में पूछा गया है. Which plants are perennial, evergreen and woody? Gymnosperms, और उनमें नाम दिया गया था Pinus either it was Pinus or Cycas. So pay attention to that. Then comes angiosperms. These are commonly called as enclosed seed-bearing plants or seed-bearing plants in which seeds are within fruits. They are further classified as monocots or dicots depending on the number of cotyledon. And what is cotyledon? Cotyledon is the food store for plants, sometimes also referred to as seed leaves, because later on when they develop, they take up a green color. They are modified to take a green color and so called seed leaves, or we can say they are food stores, and leaves are manufacturers of food. So if there is one cotyledon, they are monocots. If there are two cotyledons, they are dicots. This example has been given in NCERT, only this sentence, but there are some other differences which I am speaking out. One is monocots have parallel venation, dicots have reticulate venation. Monocots have fibrous root, dicots have taproot. Monocots have flowers which are in multiples of 3 floral parts, and dicots may have multiples of 5. So these differences also, one thing, monocots के जो स्टोमेटा होते हैं या गार्ड सेल्स होते हैं, दे आर डम्बल शेप्ड. डाइकॉट्स के गार्ड सेल्स होते हैं बीन शेप्ड, जो हम ज्यादातर पढ़ते हैं. मोनोकॉट्स के इट इज लाइक अ डम्बल. Okay, so this was about plant kingdom. Coming to animal kingdom, as we know, they are eukaryotes, multicellular. I made a mistake in typing multicultural. It should be multicellular and heterotrophic. The basis of classification is symmetry. Symmetry can either be radial or bilateral. Then second is germ layers. If there are 2 germ layers, the organism is diploblastic. If there are 3 germ layers, the organism is triploblastic. Third basis of classification is coelom. An animal can be acoelomate, pseudocoelomate, or eucoelomate. Or instead of eucoelomate, you can also say coelomate. And the circulatory system can be open and closed. This we have discussed in transportation. Okay, so basis of classification: symmetry, germ layers, coelom. And you have to remember whether an organism is acoelomate, whether it is pseudocoelomate, eucoelomate. ये सारी चीजें पूछी जाती है. Pseudocoelomate asked many times. एक ही होता है. Those are the roundworms, nematoda. ठीक है. Before nematoda, all are acoelomates. After nematoda, all are eucoelomates. That you need to know. Now the animal kingdoms are further classified as non-chordates and chordates, or invertebrates and vertebrates. And non-chordates, according to NCERT, are Porifera, Coelenterata, Platyhelminths, Nematoda, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, and Echinodermata. And chordates have Protochordata and Vertebrata. Okay, so this we had studied in the form of a sentence. These are the phylums: Porifera, Coelenterata, Platyhelminths. We had studied in the form of a sentence: PC Sippy naam ka elephant had or possessed chocolates. Remember? So PC Sippy. Now I have not taken up Coelenterata के बाद में हमने Ctenophora पढ़ा था, but Ctenophora is not mentioned in NCERT, so you don't need to study. You need to know the names: Porifera P, Coelenterata C, again P, Platyhelminths. Naam, so Naam, naam. Nematoda, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca. And naam ka, that is Mollusca. Then elephant, Echinodermata. Possessed, Protochordata, chocolates. had chocolates, hemichordata because of that, possessed chocolates, protochordata, chocolates chordata or vertebrata you can say. ठीक है, chordates को सी इन एनसीईआरटी chordates में ही दे रखा है प्रोटोकॉर्डेट एंड वर्टिब्रेटा. हम इसको हेमिकॉर्डेटा भी एक ग्रुप है बट वी आर नॉट स्टडिंग इट बिकॉज ऑफ एनसीईआरटी क्लासिफिकेशन, क्योंकि एनटीएसई में वो ही आने वाला है. ठीक है, सो नाउ लेट अस स्टडी द नॉन कॉर्डेट्स. First is porifera. Porifera word comes from holes, pore bearing organisms. The canal system, so you have to remember it has the canal system, is used for circulatory system, water and food, oxygen. They are non-motile with cellular level of organization. Many marine organisms with hard core. Now आपको इसमें याद क्या करना, एक तो sponges होते हैं, Spongyla and Cycon इसके एग्जाम्पल है, और दे आर पोर बेरिंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स विथ कैनाल सिस्टम. दैट मच यू शुड नो अबाउट पोरिफेरा. देन अबाउट सिलेंट्रेटा, यू नीड टू नो दैट दे आर नाउ पोरिफेरा कैन बी एसिमेट्रिकल. Coelenterata, they would be having a radial symmetry. The word coelenterata mean organisms with a body cavity called coelenteron, radially symmetrical. They are diploblastic, having two germ layers, commonly called as cnidarians. They are also known as cnidarian. This has been mentioned in NCERT, so please pay attention. And cnidaria are stinging cells for protection which are present on the body. इसके example है Hydra, C. anemone. ये examples आपको याद करना है. Okay, after you don't need to know the full details, जितना NCERT में है उतना ही. Third comes as platyhelminths. Platyhelminth, a very important phylum because the word platyhelminth, flatworms, they have dorsoventrally flattened होना चाहिए. I've made certain mistakes, please excuse me. Dorsoventrally flattened होते हैं dorsal और ventral side में. They have a bilateral symmetry. They are triploblastic, either free living or parasitic. They are triploblastic but do not have a coelom. That means they are acoelomates. इसके example है planaria, which is free living, tapeworm, which is parasitic. I have taken NCERT as a base. Now all these three, porifera, coelenterata, platyhelminths, are all acoelomates. फर्स्ट की सिमेट्री एसिमेट्री या रेडियल कई बार हो सकती है, अदरवाइज इट इज एसिमेट्रिकल, दैट इज पोरिफेरा. सिलेंट्रेटा रेडियल, प्लैटीहेल्मिन्थ्स में आ जाती है बायलेटरल. एंड नाउ फ्रॉम प्लैटीहेल्मिन्थ्स ऑल द अदर फाइलम्स आर बायलेटरल ओनली. ठीक है, सिलेंट्रेटा इज डिप्लोब्लास्टिक, पोरिफेरा कैन बी डिप्लोब्लास्टिक, एंड प्लैटीहेल्मिन्थ इज ट्रिप्लोब्लास्टिक. But it does not have a coelom. Examples आपको याद करने ही हैं. Okay, then coming to nematoda. The word nematoda means organisms with a round body shape. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, having 3 layers of cells, and they are parasitic worms. The false coelom is called pseudocoelom. They do not have a proper coelom. तो ये चीज आपको याद रखनी है. किसमें pseudocoelom है? नेमेटोडा में. Ascaris and Wuchereria, filarial worm causes elephantiasis, is given in your NCERT. Examples please याद करना. Then comes Annelida. The word Annelida meaning organisms with metameric segmentation. Metameric, metamers, body segments, divided body segments, equal division of body into segments. Metameric segmentation. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic with a closed circulatory system. Earthworms. The coelom is a true coelom, so they are eucoelomates. Nereis, earthworm, leech. Hydrodinaria is the name of leech. Earthworm Ferritima, earthworm का नाम है, तो आप इसको याद करिएगा. इसमें they ask metameric segmentation, closed circulatory system, Annelida. Then arthropoda, organisms with jointed legs. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic. You must be very familiar with cockroaches. They are arthropoda. Here you have to note one thing, they are hemocoelomates. The coelom or the body cavity is filled with blood. So they are called hemocoelomates and they have an open circulatory system. Examples, prawn, scorpion, housefly. Arthropoda में jointed legs, bilateral symmetry, hemocoelom. And they also are segmented from outside. So sometimes it comes segmented and jointed legs. So you put, please don't get confused. You please give the answer as arthropoda. Then comes mollusca, meaning organisms with a very soft body. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic. You must be very familiar with octopus, pila. There is a foot for moving and a kidney-like organ for excretion. Also with open circulatory system, example Unio and Chiton, they are given in the NCERT with diagrams. Diagrams एक बार please देखिएगा. Open circulatory system होती है, लेकिन octopus has a closed circulatory system. ये ध्यान रखना. It is in this group, but it is having a closed circulatory system. The next phylum is Echinodermata. The word Echinodermata means organisms. Derma means skin. Organisms with spiny skin, having spikes on the body. Their exoskeleton is calcium carbonate outside. Exoskeleton outside the body. They are radially symmetrical and triploblastic. Now here they have a retrogressive metamorphosis. That means all are bilateral, but here the adult is radial, the young one being bilateral. Okay, so the larva is bilateral, but then ultimately it leads to a radially symmetrical body. Pentadactyl, जैसे 5 arms होते हैं starfish के. Starfish is the example of Echinodermata, and they are free-living marine organisms. Sea cucumber, feather star. These names are given in the NCERT. उस पे please ध्यान दीजिएगा एक बार. So these were invertebrates or non-chordates. Then we come to chordates. They are further classified into groups as protochordata and vertebrata. Protochordata has been added in the NCERT. So you should know protochordata. Notochord is present in at least the larval forms, but it may be very rudimentary, meaning not very well developed. What is a notochord? Notochord is a rod-like supporting structure which runs along with the nervous system from the gut of an animal. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic with coelom, with a coelom. Now I'll just explain what is notochord. Notochord actually is a rod-like structure on the dorsal side, back side of the body, which separates the nervous system from the gut. Which separates the nervous system from the gut of an organism. In this protochordates, it will be in the tail region, or it may only be up to the neck region. So somewhere it is present, at least in the larval form. You need to know they are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic. And the example, Amphioxus belanoglossus. ये please ध्यान दीजिएगा. NCERT, according to NCERT I'm going. Otherwise, protochordata further, the belanoglossus is a hemichordate. Protochordate are grouped as urochordata and cephalochordata. बट वो NCERT में नहीं है, तो हमें तो belanoglossus को protochordate का example देना है. It has a tongue-like structure to move around in the soil, and the notochord only extends up to the collar region. The diagram is given in your NCERT, please देखिएगा. Then vertebrata, notochord is replaced by vertebral column and an internal skeleton. Notochord is a rod-like structure which runs on the back side of the body, dorsal side of the body, separating the nervous system and the gut, and in vertebrata it is replaced by the vertebral column. Vertebrata bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, coelomic and segmented, having paired gill pouches. They are having paired gill pouches in some stage of the life. Vertebrates are further, इनकी 5 classes है: Pisces, Amphibia, then comes Reptilia, Aves and Mammals. Pisces, I had given a table to you about these classes. I would post it in the group. I'll make it and post it, but I have just given this lecture so that it helps you in your class test and your NTSE. So the 5 classes in vertebrata are Pisces, Amphibians, Reptilia, Aves and Mammals. We'll talk about them one by one. Pisces, fishes. Habitat is aquatic. Body is streamlined and a tail for locomotion. There are gills for respiration. The heart is 2-chambered. They are cold-blooded. Skin is covered with scales. Skeleton of bone. There are bony fishes like rohu and cartilaginous fishes like shark. They lay eggs, that is, they are oviparous. Lionfish, dogfish are types of fishes. Then comes amphibians. They are called amphibians because they require both land and water. They can live on both land and water. Body is streamlined and webbed feet for locomotion. Gills and or lungs for respiration or skin for respiration. Best example is frog, which uses cutaneous respiration in the water. Heart is 3-chambered, cold-blooded होते हैं. Skin does not have an exoskeleton because they respire with it. They are cold-blooded. They lay eggs like Rana hyla. Frog, Rana tigrina. That's the name of the frog. Okay, so first two, both cold-blooded. See, I'll just help you remember in the table form. Pisces aquatic होते. Amphibians can live on both land and water. Reptiles are the first land animals. If living on the land, they can live completely on land. Aves fly, aerial होते. And mammals, and maximum of them are terrestrial, living on land. There are exceptions, but majorly land. Cold-blooded. Pisces are cold-blooded. Amphibians are cold-blooded. Reptiles also are cold-blooded. Aves and mammals are warm-blooded. Pisces has a 2-chambered heart. Amphibians have a 3-chambered heart. Reptiles have incompletely 4-chambered heart. Crocodile in reptiles has a 4-chambered heart. Aves and mammals both have a 4-chambered heart. So let's see further about reptilia. They have lungs for respiration. Heart is 3-chambered. But please, 3.5 chambered, actually we should say. 3 is in amphibians. Heart is 3.5 chambered. Crocodile heart is 4 chambered. Skin has scales and they are also cold-blooded animals. They are oviparous. They lay eggs. Then comes aves. They are birds. They have lung for respiration. Heart is 4-chambered. Forelimbs are modified for flight. Skin has feathers. They are warm-blooded animals. They lay eggs. Ostrich, pigeon, etc. Oviparous. So all 4 are oviparous. Only mammals are viviparous. That means giving birth to young one. Mammalia are animals with mammary glands for feeding the young ones. They have lung for respiration, heart is four-chambered, skin has hair, sweat or oil glands, and they are warm-blooded animals. Some of them lay eggs, for example, platypus and echidna. This is a question of NCERT. Which are the egg-laying mammals? They are platypus and echidna. Some of them give birth to young ones which are very poorly developed. That is why they are pouched, very small when the baby is born. So they keep the baby in pouch, for example, kangaroo. And the third group are true mammals which give birth to developed young ones like human beings are the example. Okay, so mammals are based on mammary glands which produce milk for nourishing young ones. They further classified in three groups: egg-laying, pouched and true mammals. Egg-laying, platypus, echidna. Kangaroo, pouched and is pouched, and true mammals, human beings, lion, whale, etc. So these are the 5 classes of the vertebrata group, and this is all about diversity. You don't need to go much into the detail of the chapter. You will have these questions in your test, so I thought of revising it for you. I would be giving you a table in the form of notes, but right now you don't need to go into that much detail. If you know this much, what I have taught you right now, it would be very helpful for you. So study this well. Take care of your health. Right now the weather is changing. Take care. Keep studying. In the next lecture, till we meet again, thanks for listening and thanks for being so ready to study. Thank you so much.